Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
Okay, no, great, Rabbit, that we eventually get to speak to each other. I mean, I don't think I ever heard your voice.
I think we've spoke one other time before, but I think it was briefly because no, I have heard you yaps tons of times, so you probably haven't heard my voice, so I apologize.
Yeah, you must have heard me, but I mean, I'm not too sure whether I've heard your voice before.
Probably not. So how you doing?
No, I'm just keeping well. I mean, tomorrow I will be closing for the Christmas break at work, so I'm doing great.
That's awesome. I'm really here to hear that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I was looking forward to a few days off. That's gonna be good.
Yeah, yesterday was my Friday, so you're actually catching me technically on my Saturday. So we're having a Saturday interview with me today.
A Saturday interview. Oh, that sounds fun, eh? It's like weekend fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I am very excited to talk to you and yeah, to learn from your experience in trading and your techniques. Maybe you can share some things with me over the course of this time, and yeah, who knows?
I would absolutely love to be able to show some of my methods, basic ideas on how I came to these consensus. Lots of trial and error was involved, and just finding the patterns and how everything intrinsically in the universe is energy. And essentially, what we're doing when we're charting is we're measuring energy. So if that's the case, and you go in with that mindset, you make a lot more progress a lot more quickly. I feel.
No, that sounds super to me because I mean, and it's an honor because not many people are prepared to share their many years of trial and error with anyone. So I consider it a great privilege.
I appreciate that very much, and I cannot wait to show the people some of the power of this method that I don't know if I could say I came up with. It might be a rediscovery. It could just be a puzzle piece from a whole bunch of different ideas that I just kind of hodgepodge together, but it works.
Okay, so show me what you've got. Then let's get down to that.
Yeah, give me a screen share. So we had a
Ripple.
little bit of yeah. Oh, Ripple's one of my favorites. And for all of the nonsense that's in the news right now, this newest FUD campaign, and we have seen this in crypto so many times that when you see this bad news rolling in, all this FUD campaign, and then the price pumps like a day or two after. So that's what I'm waiting for right now, to be perfectly honest. And another cool part is that FUD came out right at that zero point 0.5 line on my GAN box, and now we're going to be waiting for that push up onto this next level.
Okay, now
Uh,
that's amazing. So, yes, that firstly you caught this level at the bottom, which is quite good, and yeah, I also have seen already some good news popping up now that says that Japanese guy that is kind of affiliated with XRP. He now claims it is not a security. So I assume because of the news, some people will buy in again.
and that's what I'm really looking forward to, because they were even saying about a month ago, in about 6 to 8 weeks, we will be getting regulatory clarity. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And here it is. We're only 2 weeks in, and now that ball is starting to gain more momentum. That snowball is starting to get bigger. So it's going to be the point of no return. It's going to hit critical mass, and that snowball is going to be a giant freaking avalanche at one point, and it's coming soon.
Okay, good, good. I'm looking forward to it. Okay, so how do you get to this GAN box of yours?
So with these, this is going to be probably one of the most interesting things that I've ever shared on any sort of live stream. We're going to start back on here. We're just going to go to the BTC chart, and this is how I build them. So you see how these levels, they match up beautifully, and we're on a 4 hour chart, and you
Yeah,
can see that there's touches galore within here.
yeah.
I do not make any chart on any low time frame. The lowest chart that or lowest time frame I usually make when I'm building is going to be on the monthly.
Yeah.
So it looks like a total complete mess in
Uh,
this sense here. But when you
Okay.
zoom into those smaller time frames, that's when you see those fine details. So giving an overarching idea of what the chart is telling you, and then being able to zoom down into a micro to get a better idea on where those, those shorter time frame moves are going to become.
Okay, this is a psychedelic map, eh? I can see all kinds of things here, but I would this suggest Bitcoin is going to drop down now?
So as we're looking at here, it's trying to pierce through this top blue GAN box. There's different pieces to this, and it's all layered like an onion. So before we get that far, let's start at the beginning so we can see how we got to this point.
Okay, good. Let's do that.
So we're going to start with a nice, clean, fresh chart. And the proof is in the pudding with my charts. I use no advanced mathematic techniques other than my Vortex stuff that a lot of people are already aware of. And if you don't know about it, please look into it. It is really, really fun. You have your low. So we have our historical low here. What I'll usually do is I'm going to go up to a 60-degree angle at this point. Actually, one step back. My apologies. We'll move to the side.
Did you scale this first before you go into 60
No,
degrees?
that's the best part about it. So what I actually do, this is going to sound very interesting, a little bit weird, very unconventional. What I actually do is I just draw a visual representation of a square. I am literally squaring price and time just on a visual sense. I'm not doing it on a mathematical sense.
Okay.
So you see this is a pretty good square between that wick over here, this wick over here. We squared out our price and time.
Okay, good.
So over here, we will bring our 60 degrees to our historical low. And then I will do a 30-degree on that immediate high. So this is actually giving us, remember I had mentioned that Vortex earlier.
Yeah.
Vortex math is going to be going with 369 positionings. Well, in Vortex math, there's no double digits. Everything gets reduced down to a single digit. So
Yes.
6 plus 0 equals 6. 3 plus 0 equals 3. So now you have your 6 and your 9 positioning in that trinity, which is giving you that energetic footprint that's going to be implemented onto the chart.
Okay, that's quite interesting, eh?
Now, what's even more interesting is when I get all these fans popped up.
Okay, so what do you line up here? You're lining up the 60 degree to the one-on-one?
Yes, I'm going to be putting my 1 and 1 on the 60, 1 and 1 on the 30. And what
Yes.
that's doing is it's showing me this little bit of a wave pattern in here. What
Yeah.
I'm trying to find, though, is I'm trying to find this point. This is going to be my 9. So you have
Sorry,
a 6,
which point you want to find?
right?
Oh, that one. Yes.
This point right there. So this gives you your 9. So if you would look at that sideways, you have a triangle. So we have the base of the triangle here. We're trying to find that peak of the triangle so that we can find those other energetic footprints that are able to be laid out.
Okay, so the 3 on top, the 6 at the bottom, and the 9 on the side.
Correct. They can be changed. You can use them interchangeably because as far as the 3 and 6 polarity is concerned, those are just a negative and positive polarity aspect that are just flipping back
Okay.
and forth. 9 is the one that we really want to find that information for because 9 is everything. And then once again, with that simple little math trick that I said with the 3 plus 0, the 30 is 3 plus 0 equals 3. Well, we have 1 plus 4 plus 4. That's going to equal 9. So now you have a 3 point, you have a 6 point. Here is your 9 point.
Okay, so you go 144 up and 144 down.
Yes, because with the number 9 is the overarching energy for everything. It is the number of divinity. In Vortex math, any number plus itself equal itself. For example, 9 plus 1 equals 10. 1 plus 0 equals 1. You can do that with any number with 9. 9 is an omnipotent number. It is the matrix as we know it. before I even add in boxes, we have this right here. Let's just go in. Let's see what it looks like. So we built it on a 1 month. Let's go see what a 1 hour looks like. There you go. No advanced mathematical calculations, no advanced squaring techniques, all off of visual representations, and it backtests to almost perfection.
And that's on the monthly.
And that's built on the monthly, and now we're looking at a 1 hour.
Okay, good.
And that's without boxes. When you add boxes, you get another layer to the picture, and it really, really helps a lot. So I'm going to go back, get this lined up again really quick, and then I will show you how I do my boxes. And then this is where the real fun starts. I have a very different way of using boxes than I've ever seen anybody do in the past, and I really hope something like this catches on, because I would like to see what other people are able to do with this method and technique, and what kind of tricks that they learn with it. So you know as well as I do that the wicks are the icing on the cake. It's going to be the razzle dazzle, but the meat and potatoes of all of that action is going to be based off of those candle bodies.
Yes.
So we ended up having the fans on here. The fans are going to be dictating that kind of like overall flow and that energy input that's being put on it. When you're looking for that solid data, though, that's when you come in with a fixed GAN box. And we're going to use the low here. I bring my quarter line, so you see how they're broken up. This is B25, so on and so forth, all the way up to the top when you get to the 100. I go the GAN square fixed, and on my GAN square fixed, there's that, see if I can just, that orange line right here. That line that's right there on that box, what I'm going to want to do with that is I want to get it lined up to where it hits my major resistance. So now we're going to be marking a cycle. This is marking an actual energetic cycle, just straight meat and potatoes right now.
Okay.
We'll get our GAN box, and I will show the settings for this GAN box after we're finished. All of my other tools are just based off of default settings. I don't change anything. The GAN box is the only settings that I've changed. So after we get that GAN box placed on a 3x3 grid over this GAN square fixed, and once again going back to the vortex math, and I'm placing 3, 6, 9 positioning. The reason why I'm using a 3x3 grid instead of going out to a 4x4 or 5x5 is because I want to get that 9 energy. I want to find out what that 9 is telling me.
Okay.
We'll hop in here now. I got rid of the GAN square fixed, so now all we have is the box, and look at the resistance that we're on the monthly. We're literally right there. I measured it off of this one. We're at a resistance on this one.
Okay, good. Okay, can you zoom it in a little bit or not?
Absolutely. Just so we can get a better idea. This was just built on the monthly. Look at that resistance. That is perfect.
Okay, no, that's perfect, to be honest, between us. Since we decided to share your secrets, I can be honest here.
Please, that's the thing too, is that these are not really secrets. So what this is a methodology that I have kept to myself, with the exception of those that were willing to ask the right questions.
Okay.
I will not spoon feed you, and I can show you how to build them, but as far as reading them, that's where I want the individuals to start taking that initiative and trying to figure that stuff out. That's where the fun of this technique is, because you see how easy it is to get to the building aspect. The building aspect is the easy part. How do you read it? How do you read it? That's the hard part.
Yes. Okay, so step 1 is to go from the bottom on the GAN fixed square, okay, to the 1-on-1 on the fixed, the 30 degree on the thick square.
Yes.
To the top.
With the GAN fix here, let's redo this. We'll redo the GAN square fix one more time in here, just so we can do it a little bit closer, not being zoomed so far out.
Yeah. Okay, so the GAN square fix goes, the 1 by 1 top goes to the top. So you go from the bottom to the
We're
top.
gonna have this. I'm actually going to that candle body.
Okay, then.
Where that candle body ends up getting smushed down, because we have all of that additional info that's going to be in that wick, but we don't want the info from the wick. We want that meat and potatoes, because we can know where those resistance levels are going to hit when it hits that GAN box level. And
Okay.
the perfect example of this is when I pop the GAN box up now, because I'm only measuring from here to here. This is the only thing being measured right now. All this other stuff, this can be gone for a week here. We can move this over,
Yes.
and it would just be from here up. That would be it. So 3 by 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then once again here we are. Add that resistance.
Okay, now I can see clearly. Thanks.
You're very welcome.
Okay. I like your psychedelic colors, by the way.
Well,
It's pretty interesting, eh?
We're all energetic beings. You end up shining light through a prism. What do you get? You get a rainbow.
You're a colorful guy, man.
Thank you. Well, let's look at my 4-hour real quick, just for fun. Do a little bit of back testing. You literally just saw me slap this together, and look at those levels.
It's pretty amazing, to be honest, to see where they coincide. I find it really good, just based on the monthly, to be honest.
Isn't that fun?
It means I'm going to spend much less time charting, eh?
It's a lot better, because literally this Bitcoin chart that I have here, it looks pretty close to what we were just working on here that we just built fresh together. I have not changed this chart in 3 months. I haven't changed one thing on it.
Okay,
So
I
it looks
like
messy.
those. All my Go charting charts are like that. I just revisit them every month or so and see if it's still on the right path.
Just zooming into a 4-hour, it was built on the monthly, and we can even go back to the monthly really quick so we can see. This is how messy it looks when I really build out my charts. If I really build them out,
Yeah.
I'll have 3 to 6 GAN boxes. I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 fans, maybe 6, depending on where I'm measuring from. So, just so we can see how we got to this point, let's delete a couple of these boxes, clean it up a little bit, and we'll still see how the levels match up with each other. Because I ended up adding another fan down here on this bottom, because remember I said you use bottoms and tops. So I'm using a bottom here, I'm using a top over here, and that's giving me cycles within the cycles, so then I can see when those next level breakouts are going to come. When that breakout comes, I know it's going to touch that last cycle top. For example, here's a cycle that broke out. Let me zoom in a little bit more so you can see. And this is still on the monthly, mind you.
Okay.
So we have this here. This was a rejection. This is a cycle marker. This 8 by 1 line.
Yeah.
This is a cycle marker right here. Let me get my trend line out. So here you have a breakout that did not go through, so it comes back down, gets rejected, comes, retests it, hits this level again, attempts, retests, and then this was where the official breakout was. So this is a complete cycle broken as of this point right here. That cycle is broken now. With that in mind, though, this is kind of the scary part, is that it can also be that
It goes
this
down from there.
right.
Is that the scary part?
So this is the scary path, because if we end up going, if this is our current cycle that we are in, we end up breaking down below this 0.5 structure and within these GAN fans, it's going to be a scary drop. We're going to be looking at about 12,000, but it's not going to be anything that any seasoned crypto vet isn't used to. But a lot of to the new people, it's gonna scare them. It's gonna be hard. It's not going to be all at once, obviously, but yeah, think about it over the course of potentially 3 to 6 months at a 50% decrease if we end up losing any sort of momentum.
Yeah, that can be quite detrimental to a lot of people's bottom line, eh?
Most certainly, but at the same time, if you can see some of these potentials possibly coming up in the future, then you can make sure that you're prepared for it accordingly. One of the things that I like to do, and this is not any trading advice, but typically what I just usually do is I would do something, and I'll use my XRP chart as an example. And I will not be doing this on the monthly because XRP looks like crap on the monthly. But right back over in these areas. So what you want to look for is you want to look for when you have those GAN fans where it's getting smushed down like that. Let me zoom in so you can see together. You see how we have those two red boxes, or those red fans that are coming up. So that's going to be your support line. It breaks down, turns into resistance here, turns back into support. This was my bottom technically-ish at first, before we ended up having our crazy black swan event. So that was my bottom. After that ended up folding over because of everything that was happening, I ended up buying most of my bags over here. With knowing how natal lines also work, this is going to be a whole other thing. We're going to start just with the GAN stuff today. I'm not messing with the natal stuff today.
Okay, good. Yeah, we need to leave something to say tomorrow.
Yes. Natal lines is something that I've actually recently been introduced to via Market Oculations, very, very amazing chart analyst, as well as GAN Journeyman, and is a very, very close friend of mine. He's the one that got me started with this, and he taught me how the basics of the natal lines worked. I'm very familiar with birth charts. I like playing around with numerology. I even dabble around like tarot and stuff like that just for fun. There's a lot that has to do with how the planets interact with one another and how they also interact with commodities, indexes, anything.
Yeah, well, you saw how the star affected Bitcoin price, eh? The Jupiter-Saturn conjunction.
Yes. That was an amazing view last night as well, by the way. I got this.
Oh, yes. I walked because it was cloudy this side, and I walked quite a bit to get out under the clouds. But when I saw the star, I knew it was the right one. It's just how bright it was.
Yeah, you couldn't miss it. It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Let me see. Once again, this is another perfect example, and it's just laid out right here in front of me. I didn't even realize. I have two GAN lines that are coming from my 9 positioning that I showed at the top of that triangle that we originally built on the Bitcoin chart. This has the same exact setup, and here we were at. This is that resistance support. We had that support test, failed. Now it's flipped back into resistance. Once we break above that, Jupiter is going to be easily overcome. This is actually one of my close near-term targets that I'm looking at. It's going to be the 80-cent point.
Okay. Well, that sounds good.
Now with this, I will give you a little bit of a head start on how to read these. Let's go back to that Bitcoin chart that we built together and make it a little bit easier.
Okay.
This is where we're going to have the most fun.
Sharing ideas on how to read your charts.
Yes, you'll finally be able to read my charts.
Palm reading, I think.
So let's use this. We'll start with this, and we'll just test from here, for example. So we have this. This is obviously that GAN box that we ended up placing down that was filled with red. We also have that 8x1 as far as the price time on the GAN fan. So once we broke past this red to red area, then we would be looking for that retest. Let me zoom in a little bit more for you because it's hard to see on my 4K screen. Come back in with that retest. Didn't even come back and fully touch it, and that was when we ended up pushing off. We'll start right in this area so we can see how these channels react with each other. So right here, that's our main resistance that I was looking at prior to getting to this box resistance. So this is kind of the area that I was watching here.
The blue area?
What's that?
You talk about the blue area?
Yes, no, just the blue lines that I ended up putting up here.
Yes.
Because those are going to be like your cycle marker areas.
Yes.
Everything is always going to be cycles layered within cycles. It's like a giant onion.
Yes.
So when you start seeing these specific levels and channels, then you know that you're on a specific layer of that onion. And then you know that you're going to just be looking within that one layer. You don't have to look outside of it. You don't have to look underneath it. It's all right there for you.
Okay.
So once we had this push up, this candle tells a story. This candle tells a story that there is a lot of upwards buying pressure, but it was not able to get above that resistance. But I would have been preparing myself for a potential buy in this area because as soon as this next candle closed, if it closes above this line, I know it automatically wants to force itself up into this next channel.
Okay.
And we can do any amount of back testing. Let's just go through something random in the back. Candle did not close above, it gets rejected, it gets shot down. Candle ended up closing below that purple to red transition on this candle here, and that is what triggered this short.
Okay.
Same thing back over here. Candle breaks out, breaks above, comes back down, retests, fails retest, and gets entered back into that same channel again. Ends up breaking down here, has to retest, fails. So these are essentially, as you can see, just from the way that the price action is working on it, it almost even acts as Fibonacci levels without having a number associated with it.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
Like, look, that's crazy. Like, that's from August 9th. We built this on a monthly. So all of these lines are being intersected from historical or future projected points. Nothing has anything to do with what we're doing right here in the middle. We have all of this detail.
Okay, so can we recap? So we do the fans to get the 3 and the 6 and the 9 level. Then
Yes.
we place a GAN box from a significant low to a significant high with the fixed GAN square, and we square it up on a 9 box, 3 by 3.
5 and 3. Yep.
And then do you add any more boxes here?
You most certainly could add more boxes, and that's the cool part about it being in onion. And it takes, that natural growth cycle and all those other things into account. You can add however much you would like, and you can take away however much you would like. It just depends on the amount of detail and information you want to get. So we have this Bitcoin chart that, we just built together. Looks pretty clean overall. But then you have my monthly Bitcoin chart over here that before I started deleting boxes, it looked like a complete, clustering.
Yeah, so where do you place the other boxes though?
So let's go back. Say for this one, for example, hello, you get there, right? This one. There we go. So for example, let's just add another box so we can see together. But what I usually do is I go color coordinating when it comes to my boxes. So on this particular one, I'm starting with red, and that's going to be the base color of the rainbow, and I'll work my way up. So my next box will be orange, and it just helps me for my organizational progress and how I'm able to keep track of things easier. So one of the other things that I'll do is I'll go to that same one that we ended up measuring before. Remember, we measured from here to here. Well,
Yes.
I'll measure from here down to the candle body of our local well.
Okay.
This is where we're going to be getting a lot more detail, but it also looks a lot more messy. Right here, I will change this color to orange. So now we have this. So we have our main upswing cycle. This is going to be our downward pressure cycle.
Okay.
We're going to clone this. Can you bring it up? This is just a little piece of it, so let's just hop in just to see how it reacts. Looks pretty darn good to me.
Oh, it looks pretty crazy to me. I think you need to now at some point delete that Gans square fixed at the bottom so I can see something.
Did I get it? I could have sworn I deleted that one. Let's see.
Okay, so we're
Square
back on
fixed is
the...
gone.
Is it gone? Okay, good.
Yep.
Okay, so there's your orange and your red lines.
Yep, my orange and my red lines. So let's just go in. We'll just take a look at a 15, just for fun. Found that test. Comes back up. Here's that resistance. Resistance term support. Comes back, flips again. Comes back, flips again. And this is off of that little corner. So we have that little itty bitty corner of that box that's left. It's getting pinched right here. This is going to be our little support area. One thing that I don't like about these areas here, when it has multiple lines like this, whenever we're by a corner, I'll show you here, we are literally towards the top of the box. There is a lot of energetic imprint on this. I don't know how, I don't know why, but whenever we get to these areas, it seems like, I like to call those my flux zones. That's kind of like where it's like a giant magnet that's just pulling it every which direction possible. A good example of a flux zone would actually be on my XRP chart.
Yeah.
This is a flux zone. So we were all the way up here.
Sorry, we're not on XRP yet. Okay, there we are.
Yeah, so it said that we were all the way up here at like that 68 level, but because of this intersection, it ends up just sucking us down to it. It's like a giant magnet. As soon as we get past this point, we establish that one last retest, and then we start that push up again. We come back to another flux zone. What happens? We get sucked right back down into it. And this is the big guy. This is the one that I was saying. Whenever you see those three coming into each other, that's when they have the most power. So you would think that with the structure that we had, it would have been pretty easy to maintain this as a support level and just push back up. But because of this right here, this is a giant magnet that literally is just pulling us down to it.
Okay.
And that's how I like to look at it. And that this is crossed with any commodity as well. So I have noticed that we've just been doing this on crypto so far. I also post charts of the S&P.
Okay, so just now back to your giant magnet. This star where your mouse was just now, at the bottom.
Yes.
Just one below. The one at 40 cents. Do you think that is also a magnet?
So on that, yes, I do believe that one is a magnet zone. And that's one of the reasons why we got pulled down to this area here. But because we are at this Uranus data line, what I'd be looking here is another retest of this area, especially because we have this Ichimoku cloud that's kind of bottoming out right now. So I would be looking for the resistance test here once we finish our little breakdown move. Resistance test, and then after we get that confirmation, because of our positioning of in this Ganbak being past that 0.5 mark, the upwards trajectory momentum is much more likely probable. So there's no guarantees, as you know. All we do is measure probability. The tools that I utilize, I have found, have been able to measure probability to a very, very minimal, what word am I looking for? Offset, pretty much. Like, there's
Yeah.
not too much of a percentage that you're having to worry about one way or the other.
Okay.
Because it gives you that momentum. You're able to see what the chart is telling you just based off of the energetic imprint of whatever thing it is that you're measuring. Right?
No, it's rather good and rather interesting. Rabbit, I must say, this is probably the first time I really look in this detail to your charts. I thought it was just another Gann squaring technique that you used, but it's completely different than what I'm used to.
I'm really happy to hear that. Being able to share my, years of work with people that appreciated this is the reason why I've been doing it. I haven't been doing this to get rich. I haven't been doing this to, say, oh, look what I can do. I've been doing this so I can show people that look what we're capable of. We have all of this within us. As far as my background, I used to be a knucklehead. Here I am, 39 years old now. I've been doing this for 3 years. And it just, for whatever reason, just makes sense.
Oh well, if you're making money, it makes sense, eh?
It don't make dollars if it don't make sense.
Yes, yes. So that's just what I'm saying. So if it brings you money, then it makes sense for sure. And I don't think you'll be spending time on this if it wasn't making you money.
So as far as the making money, it helps me be able to catch those market bottoms a little bit easier. It helps me be able to find in the market tops a little bit easier. So as far as those like long-term swings or just like, those buy and hodl moments, those are the kind of things that I look for. One of the things that I love about this method so much, and one of the reasons why I have been so, dedicated to refining this technique as much as possible, is I love teaching people. That's where I get my joy from. I don't care how much money I make off this stuff. If I get a little bit of a kickback, even donations, it does not matter to me. I want to empower other people. I want to brighten other people's lives up.
Okay, now so I think what we should do is we should post this on your Twitter and invite people to try this method out and post their charts on your feed.
That would be so much fun. I would love to see that, kind of like a showcase.
Yeah, well, so we've shared the basics of how to get there, and they can try it out, and then maybe in the next cast we show them how to refine this a bit more.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, so that's my suggestion for now. Is let's let them play and see the confluences we get in terms of your charts with whatever they come up with on different assets.
I cannot wait to see the results. And Thea, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you for having me and taking this time with me. I know it's very esoteric as far as the way that I make my charts, but hopefully this sheds a little bit more light on the situation. I'm not just throwing random stuff up there.
I don't care if it's random. If it works, it works, and that's just what I'm all about. I have seen over the last 2 years just so many methods, and it's amazing how many different methods come to the same answer sometimes. So I love just to see people's thought process and how they interpret different styles. And I don't think it is so much about being right or wrong, but to do proper risk management and to get in control of your emotions. But the only way to get in control of your emotions is to gain more confidence in your charts. And only then you kind of if it slightly falls, you don't get that panicky, and if it spikes or you don't get overexcited if you know it's going to drop again. So you need to have some frame of reference to map to. Otherwise, you'll never have the confidence to trade.
110%.
Yes.
110%.
But it's still pretty charts, all these colors of yours, and I loved talking to you. And I think we mustn't make it too long so that people actually enjoy the video and have time for it in between all the other tasks.
110%, and we'll do it again soon. I'm definitely looking forward to doing the next one, and we will definitely refine some more and empower people as much as we possibly can.
No, thanks for the chat, and have a good Christmas if I don't speak to you before that.
To you as well. Thank you so much.
Okay, take care.